Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again, and I got a great, wonderful message for you this morning. Coming to you live from station WEBM, and that's wonderful, Eddie B. Marcus. Operating smack down from the top of the sky to right wherever you are. And I'm hoping that you will let this message flow through, around, and about you as good and straight and as real as the blood that flows through your veins. And after it's done, I hope you will click like, make a comment, or subscribe. I want to say, I have promised that when I get some spiritual awakening, that I will come before you and share that information with you in hopes that it'll do for you what it has done for me. And I know you're getting tired of me. Once I thought maybe once a day, once a week, once a day might be okay. But now I find myself coming to you 3 and 4 times a day. And I know your attention span, you're probably just getting tired of me. But I made a promise that I would, and here I am again. I want to start off this message by saying to all Americans, and what I say to all Americans, I'm really saying to all human beings everywhere. But I want to keep it local, so I'll say all Americans. And I want you to know this. Every last one of us are corrupt. Every human being is corrupt. Every human being has a measure of evil within them. Truth be known, some of us are more corrupted than others. Some of us are more evil than others. But evil and corrupted nonetheless. When I say a little more evil, I'm saying and trying to suggest that there is some goodness in some of us. Maybe more goodness in some of us than in others of us. But goodness is not sufficient to get us over the hump. The thing that gets us over the hump is love. And most of us have no love at all. We think we do. You see, if we love ourselves and nobody else, we're not lovers, we're haters. If we love our spouse and not others, we're not lovers, we're haters. If we love our family and don't love others, we're haters. If we love our race, and I'm talking about the way we split it up, blacks and whites, and not others, we're not lovers, we're haters. And if we love our nation and not other nations, we're not lovers, we're haters. You see, for love, there's no room for hate. And where hate is, there's no room for love. Now, what I want to say to you today, ladies and gentlemen, is this. One of the main forces that move us is power. Since the beginning of time, power has ruled us. This is the thing that people reach for. And yes, they do honor a superior power, unseen, untouched, and unfelt. And this is where they claim to get their power from. Where do you think the kings and queens and pharaohs and Caesars get their power from? They claim to get it from God. And from that, it's supposed to be in their DNA, right down to their family vein. That gives them the power to be the big us and the little yous. And so once it gets out of our bloodline, that means it's you. And what does you mean to the powers that be? The you means that you are there to serve them, to carry forward whatever their agenda is, to do for them what they want done. And some turn this force into slavery, taking of land, or they might even pay you, depending upon how much they need you. They'll give you a portion of their thievery. And sometimes they call it careers, sometimes they call it jobs. But as long as there are some people that's left out, if there are some people who are getting minimal stuff, that is a sinful thing, a very sinful thing. Now, I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that sure, when we came into the world as children, we had a clean slate. And our slate was formed by our environment. It might have started with when the telephone rang and the parent told his kid to tell the caller that they weren't home. Might have been that little simple thing, a lie. But wherever the start was, it perpetuates itself continuously throughout the society. Now we got a lot of haters around today who are known haters. They were taught that hate by their parents and by the society. We got people who are not just haters but vicious. They were taught that by their parents and their society. And those parents were taught by their parents. And those parents were taught by their parents. See, what you have is you have this power source that is able to manipulate and do things as they see fit. And so they teach their descendants how to be just like that. And there are those who are victims who accepts this. And so they teach theirs to be accepted to this condition. And it perpetuates itself throughout generation, throughout generation, throughout generation. And what it ends upon doing is breaking down in a society. I don't have to say break it down, it never builds itself up. You have a lot of crime and violence that's perpetuated from a system that started in the beginning. And here in America, we got a major system. It's not new. It happened in other parts of the world, but it finally worked itself in America early in the 1900s. And it has to do with the Federal Reserve, this bank. Private bankers running the country, manipulating the country, got all kinds of power because it controls the money. And who controls the money cares not who makes the laws. They, my friends, make the laws, whether you know it or not. And we as a people in our economy are constantly being robbed by the decisions that's projected out toward the nation by the Federal Reserve. When you go to the gas pump, you watch the gas prices skyrocket from 23 cents to $4 and $5. And while the prices today might be $2.50 in Mississippi, in California some places it might be $5 for a gallon of gas. And they tell you it has to do with production and supply and demand. All bald-faced lie. It's all manipulated. It's all set up to scam you, to keep you low-lifed, to keep you humble and subservient. That is what it's all about. Why the other things happen, like the black markets. You got people trying to take drugs and sell them, illicit drugs. Why are they doing that? Drugs don't even have to be illicit. They don't have to be in a violation of the law. But in order to manipulate the people, to keep them controlled, they put restrictions on other things. And so they can fine you and bill you and take money from you, and at the same time keep you from getting whatever benefits you get from these drugs without having to go through the changes. We have gun problems. Guns. I remember having a problem with a gun. I was living in Chicago. I was going to school in Mississippi. Moved to Chicago, South Side. Wanted to go on the West Side. A relative gave me a .25 automatic to take with me because it was rough on the West Side. I went on the West Side. It just so happened that a carload of plainclothesmen stopped myself and other guys that were together. And the first thing that came to my mind was to draw up this gun because I thought it was a racist thing. But something wouldn't allow me to do that. I only found out that they were cops. I was the only one got arrested because I had the gun. The gun was legal, but I didn't get it back. I was going back and forth from Mississippi to Chicago on the school breaks. And so because I spent a lot of time stopping on the road, getting a nap, I bought me a .32. And let me tell you something about a gun. You put a gun on you, and all of a sudden you stand 10 feet tall above what you already stood. it made you feel like nobody better not mess with you, cause you're a cold-blooded killer if they do. I recognize that, and I took my gun and broke it apart and threw it in the river because I didn't want to be a victim of that type of attitude. But I had that attitude because I grew up in the South, where white people were always messing with black people. And I had a vision, a dream of becoming a law officer, a major one, FBI, so I could have the law to back me in carrying the gun. And I could have the law to back me when some racist white person came up to me talking foolish. If I wanted to, I could blow his brains out because I had the law supporting me. This is why I understand when white cops see a black person, they blow them up. That's the same reason, the idea that I had. But I got rid of my ideas. They still got their ideas. And when they kill a person, they don't care about losing their job. They finally killed them a nigger. See, this is all stuff that's trained. It is a program that is just like you take a program and put it in your computer. You live in this society, this is what you're going to come up with. You go and make it plain and clear. If you grew up in China, one of the first things you're going to learn is the Chinese language, or Russian language, or some other place. Whatever the language is there, that's what you're going to learn. And what is America is what we learn. But my whole message is not to just say that. My message is about telling you how to cleanse yourself of that. You see, just like the powers that be recognizes that there's a God outside, and they try to project everything that happens with them on down through the bottom line of humanity, we have to recognize that there's a God above us as well. A God that perhaps might be the same God that they're speaking of. But the truth of the matter is, it's not a God like the one that they're talking about. Their God is to make you a slave. The God that we see is to break us free. And when you hear me say that there are no lovers, you heard a story once that perhaps there was a love going on in heaven, and there was an angel that wanted to defy that and do his own thing. There was no room for that. So that was kicked out of heaven. You heard somewhere that there was a Garden of Eden, a fantastic place. Had rules. Somebody infected it with some other idea other than love, and they were kicked out of there. And all of us right now living in the world are living amongst haters. Haters. There are some good people. I'm not trying to knock that out. There are many good people, because I know you're listening to me and you're saying you're good. But I just want, like Tina Turner said, what does good have to do with it? What does good have to do with it? If it's not love, it's hate. Your goodness just means that you're not filled with as much hate as another person. But you have no love. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this simply because this world is infested with hate. And if there's any love here, like hate was kicked out of places where love reigned dominant, love will be kicked out of a place where hate reigns dominant. And on this planet, especially here in America, hate reigns dominant. How in the world do you think Donald Trump became president of the United States? Because hate reigned dominant. Sure, there are those who are tied up with Trump who got more hate than others. But those Democrats who voted for the Clintons, they were filled with hate. Those people who were running for Sanders and others, they were filled with hate. You say, how do I know it? Let me ask you this. Hate allows people to live in poverty. Hate allows poverty to create an environment for crime and violence. Hate allows for terrorism and war. And when you're not trying to get rid of these things, when you find some way to accept it and just hope it passes away, that is because your hate is too big to allow your love to come in. And one of those things that keeps your love out is because you don't know the truth. You've been lied to all of your human life that love never dies. And if love is in you, you will live. You will live. Now I'm telling you some stuff that I don't know beyond just being here in the flesh. We've had stories that said one man, could have been millions of others, I don't know, who died because of love, rose again to show people that if you love and die, you will rise again. I don't know if that's true. I accepted it as true, but I couldn't stake my life on it for you. How should I say, I wouldn't stake your life on it. I can stake my life. Because what I found is this. Getting up in the morning, if you're lucky enough to have an egg and a piece of toast and a cup of coffee, that's great. Some people have ham and French fries, hash browns, a whole bunch of stuff. If you're fortunate enough to have a job to go to, hopefully a job that you like, and if you can come home and have supper or dinner, whatever you want to call it, and it's a table blessed meal, and you're sitting down, maybe eating pasta, spaghetti, or chicken, or you know those kinds of things. And having done that, maybe watch a little television and have a little family discussion, and go to bed. If you're lucky enough to have some sexual fun, that seems to be great. So you've experienced the day. Maybe tomorrow will be the same, and the next day will be the same, and the next day will be the same. But all around you, there are people who are not having it that good. There are people who are going to school with a biscuit and a piece of sausage wrapped up in a piece of paper for their lunch. There are people who can't even go to school. There are people who go to school ragged, couldn't take a bath. There are people who are sleeping in cars because they got nowhere else to go, nowhere else to sleep. There are people that's hungry, really hungry, ragged, driving around with push baskets with their clothes in it, or a bicycle with their clothes tied to it. There are people on the streets with signs saying, "Help us." That's a sign that there is no love. I don't care who you are. You can be the king, the queen, the pharaoh, the Caesar. Or you can be the chief executive or the president of a college university, or the banker downtown, or own this corporation. You can be all of that. But you are a hater. You are a hater. And why do I say that? I know you love your lifestyle, but you're shortchanging yourselves. You're shortchanging yourselves because love is much better than that. You have to worry about all kinds of things. You worry about when you go to the gas pump and put your cash card in there to get your gas. Somebody might be stealing your card numbers, so that they can go out and manipulate it in such a way that your finances are just gone just like that while they're using it. They're doing it because this is a system that has been left open that people can benefit from that. And catching them and putting them in jail is not doing anything. You catch this one and put him in jail, another one is doing it. You catch this guy who's out with a gun and firing up in the crowd or shooting up people, put him in jail. That doesn't stop anything. The same night somebody else is doing it. You catch this guy who jumps in a car and run over people because he's upset, his mind is tripped out. You put him in jail, you're not doing anything. Because the next day somebody else is doing the same thing. And why does it continue? Because you've got no love. You're so busy trying to pretend like you do by arresting folks, rather than dealing with what really allows that stuff to happen. There are problems that exist in our society that makes room for the preservation of such things as this. And in order to deal with it, you got to have some love, you got to have compassion, you got to look at people and say, what if that were me? What would I want to happen? Would I want to be locked up? Or would I want that reason that causes this to happen to be eradicated from my experience, and not limited there, because that could be a sign of hate itself, but limited and eradicated from all of us. And so those of you who might be hearing me today, who are going to be protesting tomorrow, the 4th of July, and you're going to be protesting for that thing that is so important to you that you're trying to resolve, you are a hater. You are a hater. And everything that you are standing up for under the premise and the umbrella of that hate will not accomplish you anything. Now, if you were wise, if you were smart, and if you had just a little bit of love, you could feed it. And all of you, with all your various concerns, turn around and look at one another and say that you're all in this together. And you all got a problem. And that every one of your problems are just as important as the other problem. and that you and your problem alone will not resolve anything. And if there is to be a resolution, it will come because all of you decided the truth, that your problems are the reflections of a system that you yourself have accepted. But now you're waking up and you know that you cannot accept the system anymore, and so you engage yourself to change the system. And in this system that you're going to change, you're going to make sure that every last one of the problems that the people out there complaining about, what they're dissatisfied about, will be addressed in the new system. And none of that stuff will happen. Why? Because the love in you was so magnificent that it designed the program, it designed the system that these things could not exist. And when you can do that, it will be gone. And there won't be any Donald Trumps. If they are amongst your midst, they will have no power, because you won't give them any. And you won't submit yourselves to anything outside of the wonderful new image of life that you have created. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm speaking to you off the cuff. I haven't even really come up with a subject matter that I could refer you to make you might want to watch this. And if I were trying to come up with one, I would probably say something like, all humans. No, that wouldn't be good enough. I don't know. I have to listen to this again for myself, and maybe I'll come up with a topic that will be enticing, and I'll list it at that time. Once again, this is Eddie Marcus saying bye-bye.